So if you haven't seen the board, or maybe you can't see that, we're going to be doing measurements today. We're going to be talking about it. Now, the good thing is, the book already has printed in it the actual ruler that you're going to use. So you don't need to like have a physical ruler with you when you attempt your homework today, because they're going to ask you to measure things. Below each picture, they will already have. So I'm going to draw a really terrible looking fish here. There you go. There's a fish. Okay, there you go. There's my fish. All right, so they're gonna have the ruler down below it, and they're gonna ask you to tell me what the measurement of that item is. So now remember, on the U.S. Customary system, they don't start the ruler right at the end. It's always indented because it's a wooden ruler, so it will chip. So they give you a little bit of space. They'll kind of count up. And maybe this is 3, 2, 1, and 4. And then the idea is that you have to figure out, exactly what marker you're at, that type of thing. So they will have the ruler printed below the picture. You just have to tell me what marker you landed at. Now, the hard part is what we talked about yesterday. Is this is the U.S. Customary system, right? So that's the Customary system is based on inches, feet, that type of thing. So most people are not comfortable with the actual ruler itself. So let me fill you in. Okay, so here's 0. Here's 1, let's say. The trick is what we talked about yesterday was that the big marker in the middle, that's half. Then every other mark after that, the bottom number doubles. So for instance, the next big markers, the bottom number doubled, so it became 4th. And the top numbers are always odds. That's just how it works. So it's 1/4 and 3/4. So when you go down to the next rung, the next big line, that's 8ths. And the top number is always odds. That's the easiest way I can teach you how to read a ruler. There you go. The terrible 5. Okay, does that make sense, like how you're doing that? And then when you go down the next rung, it would be 1/16, 1/16. So on a customary system, you have to tell me which mark. So maybe this marker right here was, that was the 3/8 marker, let's say. So you would actually say your answer would be 3 3/8 inches. Okay, whatever that mark that you went with. Okay, questions at all about how to read a U.S. Customary system ruler? Some people just never see that, and like think about this, like how often do you actually really measure stuff exactly? Well, the idea is that it's still a practice. You still need to know how to do that if you have to be exact for something. So just make sure that if you have questions on this, don't be afraid to ask, especially if you don't know what marker you're at. Just find half, find a 4th, find the 8th, find the 16th, and then just count by odd numbers for the tops when you go to each marker. Okay? All right. Questions before I move on? Now, for those upperclassmen who were gone yesterday, because you're at your class meeting, our first activity, you're going to have to do one of these for me on a piece of paper. So I'll provide you the paper for that here in a minute. Okay? All right, let's go to the next one. Second problem. And now we have to go to the metric system. The metric system is significantly easier. Let's say we're measuring a line segment like that. They provided you the line that you're going to be measuring. They have the ruler printed below it. Now we're doing the metric system. 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. So let's say this is the metric system. It's in centimeters. For this is the weird thing. On the metric system, it doesn't go by these weird fractions. The metric system always goes by tens. There's going to be 10 hash marks to get to the next marker. So, for instance, I'm going to make this really big here to exaggerate. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10 is the next big marker. So if your marker landed here, that's where that marker is landing, right? It's landing right there. So what you'd say is you're landing at 4 centimeters, right? 4 centimeters. And then what marker did I hit? Well, I hit what? Number 8. So 8. So it's 8 millimeters. So that's the decimal that goes after it. That's how the metric system works. Whatever marker you landed, that's the decimal. So it's 4.8. You could say, and I even think Nolan even said it, could be 4 centimeters and 8 millimeters. This is the same thing as that. That's why the metric system is actually easier, because whatever marker, that's the decimal. It's different for the customary system. You have to tell me the specific fraction. It's not, it's not like, because if you're doing by 16ths, you might be at the 14th marker, you know, for the 16th, which would be this one. So if you're at the 14th marker, you might have to say that you're at, you know, 7/8 instead of 0.14. It doesn't work that way for the customary system. Questions with metric though, that's way easier. Whatever marker you're at, that's the decimal that goes after it. Now, the reason I bring this up, the first 4 homework problems you have today, because yes, you do have homework, you can see it over there. The first 4 problems in your homework today, they're going to have you measure items. The ruler will already be printed for you below the picture. You have to tell me the exact measurement of it. You cannot be off by more than 1 marker. You have to be exact. Now, if it's between a marker and you're trying to figure it out, one or the other, I'll give it to you. I got a little bit of wiggle room. I give you 1 marker here and there. Okay? Questions. Now, there is one trick question in there for the measurement. There's one problem, I don't know why they do this, the only textbook I've ever seen do this. There was one problem, they did this thing, but they said these were inches instead. It marked it by 10, not by 16ths or 8ths or anything, but they said it was inches. You would still consider it the same idea, to say it's 4.8 inches instead. If it's marked by 10, you can just put the decimal. I'm fine with that. Questions with that? It's one trick question. You'll see it when you know it, when you get there. Any other questions with that? Perfect. All right, next part, because I got about 2 questions left I want to cover. Make sure that you know how to do it. Okay, now this is the part where I want you to write this down. Like the ruler stuff, you can probably just watch and figure that out, but this next part, I would like you to have it somewhere in your notes because I know I'm going to have a ton of people asking questions. This, if you can't see the outline, next thing we're going to is segment addition, how to add sticks together if they're like placed back to back to back. And we have to do a bunch of algebra with this. You're going to have 4 or 5 problems where you have to do this algebra. So here's the instructions. It says let point C lie between A and B on AB. That's the instructions up above your problem. What is that actually saying? What is that last item there?
The measurement?
It's a type of what shape though? What are we measuring? What is that? What is the drawing? A line, first with an S?
Segment.
Segment. Okay, it's a line segment, right? So you have to be able to read that instruction and understand, okay, we're looking at a segment, we're going to be looking at measurements of it, and this is what they're going to give you below. They give you no picture, but they give you a series of items like this, where A to C is 2x, C to B is a 5, and AB is a 3x minus 7. And the question that they ask for is find AC. And they give you no drawing. That's what they give you. That's the example. That's problem number, I don't know, problem number 12, let's say. I have no idea what number that would be. So to do this problem, you have to interpret from reading the instructions that you need to draw a picture. Where does C lie for your line segment? Between, right? Yeah, between A and B. So here's what I would do. This is no joke. Like if I had my homework, I'm actually drawing this picture right next to my homework because I need to visually see it. Like I can't do my homework unless I see what it looks like. So I draw A to B. That is a segment, has 2 stopping points on it, right? 2 endpoints. C is somewhere in between. I don't even care if C is right there. I'm just guessing it's there. I don't really care. It doesn't have to be exact. Now, why I drew that? Because they told me in the instructions C is somewhere in between A and B. But why I'm doing that is so I can label these on that picture. That will tell me how to do the math once I see it visually. So AC, what is the label for AC? What is it? 2x in the label. That's 2x, right? I'm going to actually put it on the drawing. What's CB? 5. 5 here. Now, I don't know if those are accurate in the drawing. It doesn't matter. I just want to see where those things sit. And then the whole stick, A to B. What is that? 3x minus 7. Okay, so I have all my labels. What I'm going to do next is solve for x. Because the goal is if I can find x by doing some simple algebra, I can find AC. Because once I have X, all I have to do is go plug them back in. And I plug it back in here, and I have what AC is. That's the whole idea. I want to know the length, the measurement of A to C. That's when they leave the bar off of it. They want to know how long it is. They'll say that in the instructions. Okay, questions with the setup here. Like how I set it up. Because they didn't give me the drawing. I had to draw that myself. You understand how to label it and everything? Okay, so let's keep going. What are the two small pieces of that picture? Two small parts? What are they? 2x and 5. Let's add those together. And what's the whole stick?
3x.
Oh, there's your algebra. That's the setup. You have to be able to set that up yourself. They will not tell you to do that. You have to go do that yourself. So what I'm doing there is I'm adding AC, BC, and that gives me the whole AB stick. Again, how I know that is because I can see it from the picture. I'm adding the small piece, making the entire big piece. Common sense, you're adding sticks together to make a big stick. Now, to solve, how do I solve this in Algebra 1?
You subtract 2x,
Good.
add it to 3x,
Okay, good.
add 7.
Yeah. Absolutely right. Subtract the 2x from both sides. Let's get the x's to one side. I don't really care what side you go to. You could have subtracted 3x over for all that here. Subtract the 2x. Those are gone. 3x minus 2x.
X.
Is 1x or x. Okay, so here's where we're at so far. Right? I subtracted the 3x across.
Add
Or
7.
sorry, 2x. Next step,
Add 7.
add the 7 across. Right? Add 7 to both sides. The reason why, 7 will cancel. There's your answer. There's 12, right? But what do I have to do with the 12? What's the question asked for? Yeah, plug it back in, right? You found x. You did some simple algebra, right? I moved x's to one side, I moved the numbers together. I don't care what side you went to, it would have done the same answer anyway. But once I have x, you have to go plug it back in. Because the question is, what is AC? Well, that means I have to plug the 12 in here. So 2 times 12. Boom. There's my answer. That's the answer the book is looking for that problem. Do you see all the math you have to do there? If I was doing this in my homework, like my answer key, I'm drawing a picture, I'm labeling it like I just did there, I'm doing this, and I'm showing all the work, and I'm trying to get to my final answer. Because the back of the book has odds answers, but all they're going to say is, whatever this, maybe this is number 12, they'll say answer's 24. That's all it says. It doesn't tell you how to do any of it. So you have to infer that you have to draw, label it, figure it out. Okay, here's my question to you. Do you want me to do another one of those, or do we want to just move on to the next style of problem? It's up to you. Because if we want to do another one, I'll throw another one, I'll just make up some new numbers. But if you're good, we'll move on to the last type. I think we did a couple of those yesterday, right? We did one of those, or 2 of those yesterday. Okay, we're good? No issues so far? You can ask questions later too, maybe you're too shy. Like I have a bunch of marker boards, I can work on that with you when you're working. Okay, all right, let's move on. Last type of problem here today. Numerical expressions. Figuring out how to solve for an x or something when it's just numerical. So there's really no like major algebra you're gonna have to do. It's simple adding and subtracting kind of thing. So this will be the last one. Here we go. Last one. So I'm going to do 2 of these because I want to just show you a range of problems here. So here's the first one. Let's call this x and y. Let's call this point W. All right, and this whole thing is 36 inches. All right, and the question that it says find xw if w is the midpoint of xy. Okay, I'll let you write that down first. I'll let you write down, we're going to go through this here in a second. Then I got one more to do. XY is 36 inches. W is the midpoint. Now, let's talk about midpoint. There's that vocab word there, right? We haven't really seen that word before. What do you think midpoint means?
The middle of the entirety.
Yeah.
line segment.
The perfect middle. It's like, they're literally cramming middle and point together to make the new word middle point. So midpoint. It's the perfect center. So if they want to know the length of this stick right here, and W is the perfect center of it, how do you think we do it?
36 divided by 2.
Exactly. 36 divided by 2, and we get
18.
18. There's your answer. It's 18 inches. It's just half. They could mark it two different ways. They could do this, where they have W here and this is X and Y. They could just put little hash marks. These little hash marks mean the two sticks are exactly the same length. That was something we talked about yesterday. If the upperclassmen were gone, you probably didn't see that yesterday. The hash mark, if they put it in a line, that means the lines are the same length. They're called congruent to each other. They're equal in length. Okay, questions with that first one? Does that seem somewhat easy? Okay, second one, similar situation, just simple algebra, or simple numerical stuff where you can just type it in a calculator. And again, I have no problem with you typing stuff in calculators, because that just helps you out, makes it a lot easier. The last problem here. Okay, let's say this is 12.4. That's A to B. C is somewhere here. And BC is a 3.7. Question is, what is A to C? Don't need the bar. Okay, these could be whatever measure, centimeters, inches, I don't really care. How do we find AC? The whole stick is 12.4, that little piece in the back is 3.7, what do we do? I want to find the length of A to C. What do you think? Common sense, what do we need to do?
Oh, subtract 12 point.
Yeah.
12.4 minus 2.
Yeah, subtract them, right? Take the 12.4, subtract 3.7. Most people probably do it in their head. Some people just might type it in a calculator. You subtract, you'll get whatever's left. That's how you find AC. The whole stick, you take away the little piece, you're left with the other chunk, the AC stick. Right? So to borrow, I'm going to make this an 11. That's a 14 if I borrow, because you have to add 10 to it. 14 minus 7 is 7. 11 minus 3 is 8. There you go. There's your answer. It's 8.7. That's literally how simple it needs to be. Okay, questions with that? Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Okay, everyone else, or everyone I should say, your homework is page 18, it's on the board there in blue. Page 18 is due Tuesday. Now here's the issue. We don't have school Monday. So you need to take your textbooks home if you don't get this finished. A lot of people have been finishing it in class, you're fine there. So that needs to go home. If you don't get it done today, it's due Tuesday when you're back. That's kind of the shortest turnaround, but you have 4 days worked on it. Upperclassmen, if you were gone yesterday, I would like you to sit in the front rows here, like here. So if you were here yesterday, move to the back rows. If you weren't, I need you here so you do my little activity and get some points back that you missed yesterday. Yes. I need you to pass.
1 through 8. 7 through 18.
No, I think it's still loaded. I think it's still loaded. So, it'll be over. Okay, so upperclassmen, over here, we're gonna do a little activity, you'll get some points back, because you were gone yesterday when we did this activity. I want to make sure you guys get equal opportunity to get things done. This will not take you more than 4 or 5 minutes.
No.
Okay, you will need a pencil pretty much only. But everything, you don't need anything else, just pencil. Okay, I'll provide you everything you need. Right here, sir. Okay. Okay, go to the side that's blank. Ignore the green paper. Put your name on it. Okay. So go to the side that's blank, put your name on it. Don't go to the grid side, go to the plain side. Okay. Okay, are we good?
Yeah, just take 15 seconds.
Again, if you're gone yesterday, you should be sitting over here. It doesn't matter if it's not the classroom or not. Okay, all right, here's what I like you to do. Go to the blank side of your paper, put your name on it, so blank side only, so get away from the grid. Put your name on it, and what I like you to do first, take your ruler, go to the side that has the inches on your ruler. So that's the sign on your ruler that goes up to 12, okay? Draw a segment that is 4 inches long exactly. 4 inches exactly. You can put it anywhere on your paper, 4 inches, and you're gonna label it A to B. Four inches, A to B. Okay, now, just double check. Hand your piece of paper to your neighbor. They're gonna measure your line to make sure it's exactly 4 inches. If it's not, make a face. Now, it's gotta be close, within at least a mark. So if they're good, hand it back. Let's just get some practice to double check that we are doing this right and not way off.
Is that 4 inches?
Okay. Are we good? Okay, next thing, below that line now. Flip your ruler over, go to the centimeter side. The centimeter side goes up to 30, I believe, right? I want you to draw a segment that is 15 centimeters long now. 15 centimeters long.
Number 3.
And let's call that one X and Y. Hand it to your neighbor, double check it, measure it, 15 centimeters exactly. You gotta be within 1 mark. It's gotta be exact. Kind of particular on how close you are. Okay, I'm gonna take your rulers back. Because we're not done yet. We got like 1 little thing left and it won't take more than a minute. Okay, take the, okay. Okay. Last thing. Okay, here's the question. If I ask you, without pulling out another ruler or some other tool or pulling your paper or anything weird, could we copy those lines, segments, perfectly somewhere else in your paper without touching somebody else's paper?
Yeah.
How?
Guesstimate.
Okay, if you had a grid, or you could guess, but yeah, you could guesstimate, right? You could try to get it. But I want to exact without a tool and without guessing. Okay, so you're starting to think like, use something else, like use an object to kind of measure, right? Tell me better. We have geometrical compasses. So I'll hand one of these here in a second. Okay, I'm going to give you this here in a second, and what we're going to do is we're going to copy the 4-inch segment, onto the 15. I'm going to show you how to do it right now, so pay attention. So, you obviously have a compass, okay? It's going to be like this is my marker board. Okay, now to open your compass when you first get it, you're going to have to spin the little like cog in the middle. Don't grab the T-bar. There's a T-bar on these things. Don't grab the T-bar. Grab the little cog in the center and spin it. That'll open up. Now mine just kind of pulls apart. Don't pull yours, they'll break. Okay, so now, when you have it, okay, what you're going to do is, all you have to do is, on your compass, there's a metal pike on one side. It's like a metal spike. It'll give you tetanus. Don't poke yourself with it. The other side has graphite, right? So the graphite's the lead. When you use these, you don't want to push hard because it'll break the lead and it won't be exact. You want to go as light as possible so your neighbor can't hardly even see. So what you do is you pick it up and you measure the 4-inch one. Like go from end to end using the end points. So it's super exact. Once you have that, use the end points on your 15 centimeter line and just make your little hash mark, if that makes sense. This line should be so faded your neighbor across from you can't see it. Because you don't want to push too hard. If you push too hard, these open. Like it just loses the whole idea. But once you have that marked, you take your normal pencil, and all we do is we never erase anything, you just scribble out all the excess. This is exactly the same length as that. And I mean, they're exact. There's no, like, the ruler actually has give and take, because there's like spaces. It's burned in the wood. This is super exact, so that it's always a perfect replica of it. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, once you have it, you're gonna make that perfect copy, scribble it out. This is all you want to do and turn that piece of paper in. That's all you do. It takes you like less than 2 minutes to do this. It'll take you longer getting this thing out of the bag and doing it than actually the task of learning how. I give you a little black plastic thing, so if you need to draw like a straight line, but you guys don't have to, you already have both. So, turn the little gear, it'll open up, don't pull it apart. Measure the 4-inch, copy it onto the 15-centimeter one. Because the 15-centimeter one is clearly longer than the other one. Make it exact. Once you have the excess, you can scribble out the excess. Don't erase anything, we never erase in here. We just scribble out excess. Once you're done, I'll take your protractor, or your compass, sorry, and put it back in this little baggie, and I'm going to take it back. And you're done. You get easy points. That's our first construction. We're doing 14 constructions throughout the year. You just learned how to copy a segment to a new spot on your paper, like perfectly. Constructions are how we do really detailed drawings in architecture.
We do that a year, like a school year, or
Like throughout the whole year, we learn 14, and they get crazy complex. This is the first one. This is like something we're gonna have to do in the middle. So, like this is the easiest one we have. It takes like 2 seconds to learn. There's one that we're gonna eventually get that has like 23 steps.
you're kidding.
Like there's like just things going everywhere.
It takes a whole class period.
It seriously does. It takes a whole class period to learn how to do it. And we,
Yeah, because do that. This is optional.
no, this is what we gotta do. You get points for doing these. So you're gonna turn this in. Put your name on it. I'm gonna take these here in a second. It's part of construction. It's part of standard. Okay, I'm gonna take these back. You get points for doing these. These are our first one. You'll eventually get these back, and we're gonna put these in like little folders for you. Names are on. Boom. Hey, if you guys were not here yesterday, we did have homework due. The upperclassmen, we did homework due yesterday. Turn that in if you forgot.
Did you get mine?
Turn that in.
Yeah.
I know, like I really want to read the classroom. About what? No, we are not doing.
Okay, remember, we have a pep rally today, pep assembly. That'll be after 9th period. So what they're doing is they're borrowing a little bit of time for each period. So we're out here probably the next 3-4 minutes. I think they borrow about 5 minutes from each period.
You didn't solve, you just.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to drop them both because I didn't understand what you're saying. Not gonna do.
Mr. Ward,
What's up?
come help with number 8.
Yeah.
No, it's up down.
Okay, what do you got there?
Oh, you got it back.
You're going to.
Let me turn off the camera.